All right, hello sugars. Here we go from home. All right, so today's Monday's lesson, it is factoring the greatest common factor. I might talk fast. If you need to go back, watch the lesson again, okay? All right, greatest common factor, that is your GCF. Your greatest common factor is the largest number that the terms have in common. All right, the largest number or letter that the terms have in common, okay? You cannot factor out something that is bigger than what it has, okay? If you only have $5, I can't take $6 from you. You only have 5, okay? So you cannot factor out more than what is actually there. So just the idea, I'm just gonna make up a problem. This is called distributing, and everybody knows how to distribute, right? So we multiply 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 3 is 6, so we have 2x plus 6. Today we're doing the opposite. We're gonna go from 2x plus 6, we're gonna look at both terms, and what is the biggest number that I can factor, which is like dividing, undistributing. What can I pull out front? What do they both have in common? So what can I divide out front? I can divide a 2 out front, so I'm going to write that 2 out front. Okay, not both of the 2's, just one of them. Whatever they have in common, you write out front. Then you divide it out. We have an x, and what's 6 divided by 2? 3. So what we're doing is we are undistributing today, okay? We are factoring out. Whatever they have in common, you write 1 time out front, okay? But I couldn't take out a 6 out of that because that's bigger than 2, right? So you only can factor out, really, it's the largest factor, but you can't take out a number bigger than what's there. All right, so here we go. It says, find the GCF of 24 and 36, okay? So I know that I can break these into several numbers. There's a lot of things that multiply to give me 24, a lot of things that multiply to give me 36. I know that 2 is a factor of both of them. But is 2 the biggest number that I can take out of 24 and 36? What's the biggest number? 12. I can take a 6 out of both of them. Still not the biggest, not the greatest common factor. So you have to think of the biggest number, okay? So I know that this is 12 times 2. And I know this is 12 times 3. So the biggest number is 12 that I can take out of both of them. Y'all remember doing this? You've done it a lot over the past few years. Okay. All right, now, 85 and 119. Those two numbers scare me because I just don't know those numbers very well. 85, what is one factor that we all know of 85? 5, okay? So I'm going to get out my calculator. And I'm going to do 85 divided by 5, and I get 17 back. 85 divided by 5, I get 17 back. So maybe 17 is a factor of the other one that I just don't know, right? So what was the other number? 119. So let's try to divide that by 17. And it does go. 17 goes into both of them. So this tells me that 5 times 17 is 85. And 17 times 7 is 119. So they both have 17 in common. So if I look back here, this is 17 times 5. This is 17 times 7. So they both have a 17 in common. Are y'all good with that? That's what you're going to be looking for. Now, let's move on to a letter. So go over here to the left, right here. 3y and negative 8xy. Now look at the number first. Do they have 3 and 8? Any common factors? Just 1, and you don't have to pull that out front. That's a good point. All right. Now look at y and xy. So they both have a what? A y in common. Okay, do y'all see that? They both have a y. I can't take an x out of both of them, but I can take a y out of both of them. So if I were to break this up, I'd have 3 and y And then I would have the y by itself over here, and then negative 8x. So you can see that we have a y in common in both of them. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do it with the little parentheses, okay? So today you're going to learn how to factor. Factoring means to write the polynomial as a product of two things, which means I'm going to have something out front, and then I'm going to have parentheses and something here. It's going to look like we're undistributing. We're pulling the number back out front that looks like it was given to both of them, okay? All right, so here we go. This is what we need to do. We are going to, step one, we're going to find the greatest common factor, divide each term by that greatest common factor, and then write it as a product. This is not very bad. Let's look at this one right here. 4x plus 6y. So look at the number first. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it the same way every time. I'm not going to fart around and make it look different every time, because then it messes me up on how I write my answer, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at both of these. And you said it, 2. They have 2 in common, right? Do they have a variable in common? No, one's an x, one's a y. That means that I cannot take a variable out front, but I can take a 2 out front. So what I'm going to do is I can divide both of them by a 2. So I'm going to take this number, I'm going to write the 2 out front. I'm not writing it twice. Just whatever I divide by goes out front. Distributing means to multiply. Factor means to divide. Okay, so I'm doing the opposite of distributing. All right, so now I'm going to reduce it up here where I can see it. So I'm going to reduce 2 and 2, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now, what is left up here in this first term? A 2 and an x. 2x. Do y'all see that? So we're going to rewrite 2x. Write your plus sign. And now reduce this next one right here. 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 6 3 times. So I have 3y. And now you are done. Now, how do you check your answer? You do what? Distribute. So if I distribute this, 2 times 2x is 4x. Distribute 2 times 3y is 6y. Is that what I started with? Is that what I started with? Is that my original problem? So I did it correctly. Do y'all see that? Okay. So you can always check your answer by distributing. Now, here's the great news about the Quiz Friday. It is multiple choice. Now, if it wasn't multiple choice, you wouldn't be able to cheat. But since it is multiple choice, couldn't I actually look at all of my answers, distribute them back in to see if they equal the question? Yeah, absolutely, okay? So think about that. Now, that won't help you on homework tonight. Won't help you on homework on Wednesday night, but it'll help you on the quiz on Friday, okay? All right, so here we go. Let's do a few more. Let's go to the bottom A and B. More practice. Bottom left, A and B. All right, look at this first one here. 10n squared plus 45. Just look at the numbers. 10 and 45, what do they have in common? A 5, okay? Do both of them have an n? So I can't take away something that's not there. So I'm just going to be able to factor a 5 out. So watch how I do it. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Whatever I divide by goes where? In the front. So whatever I divide by, I write out front. Now I'm going to reduce it right here. 10 divided by 5 is what? 2. So I have 2n squared left. And then I'm going to reduce the next one. 45 goes into, or 5. 45 divided by 5 is 9. So I have plus 9. That's it. Oh, it gets a whole lot scarier than that. So y'all just wait. Okay, so look at part B. Looks a little bit scarier, doesn't it? So part B, 4x to the 6th, y squared, 12x cubed, y. Does that look a little scary? Now, before we get all nervous, remember, I'm going to kind of write it up top here. That is 4. X to the 6 means 6 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Y squared means 2 y's. And then we have 12, and that is x cubed. That's 3 x's and 1 y. So now you can almost count the number of x's that they have in common that I can actually factor out. So let's go ahead and draw our division bar. And before I get to my x's and y's, look at your number, 4 and 12. What is the biggest number that 4 and 12 have in common? 4. So divide by 4. Do you notice you have to divide by the exact same thing on all of them? And whatever you divide by, you write it out front. Now, look at your number of x's. How many x's can I take out of each one of these?
3.
So this one has 3 x's. This one also has 3 x's. I cannot take out more than I physically have. Now, 3 x's is the same thing as x cubed. So I can take an x cubed out of both of them. Now look at your y's. How many y's can I take out?
1.
This one only has 1 y, so I only can take 1 y out. So write 1 y. That's it. Just a y to the first, just y. Notice that I'm dividing by the same thing. That's what I'm factoring out front. So whatever I write right here, that is what is written out front. 4x cubed y. And open up your parentheses and you have a plus sign in the middle. Now you should be able to reduce these out. Start with your numbers. 4 divided by 4, just 1. Now, so I could write a 1 right here for sure. You don't have to, but you can. Now look at your x's. This is x to the 6, and I'm taking 3 x's away. 1, 2, 3. So how many x's do I have left? X cubed. I have 3 x's left there. And if you need to write your x's out like that, write them out. So I had 3 x's left. Got it. These went away because I already used those. All right, now that's y squared. And then I have 1 y down there. So these reduce out. That y cancels with that y. And how many y's do I have left? 1 y. All right, now that one's done. You can always distribute right now to see if you get the correct thing back. 4 times 1 is 4. X cubed and x cubed, you actually add those exponents, right? 3x's, 3x's, that gives you 6x's.
That's supposed to be squared.
Which one?
X squared.
Right here?
Like in the parentheses.
Right there? It's not, when you multiply x's, you actually add the exponents. That's a good point. So if you do x cubed times x cubed, doesn't that mean x, 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 and x, x, x? So total you have x to the 6th. So good point, that is not supposed to be a 2. You actually add exponents when you multiply them. Cody, you would do, like, if you had x squared to the 3rd power, that would be x to the 6th. Okay, that's when you multiply. All right, so good point. Now, right here, let's reduce these out. So 12 divided by 4 gives you what? 3. And then the x cubed cancels out with the x cubed. There are no x's left. If I take that and I take that out. And then y divided by y, don't those cancel each other out as well? Okay? So all I'm left with is a 3 there. There's nothing left. Gets more confusing, doesn't it? All right, let's pop back up to the right. And I want to do part C in the middle here. Part C in the middle box. 2h squared k plus 2k. Now, let's just look at the numbers. Ready, sugars? Look at the numbers. What is a number that I can divide or factor out of that? A 2, yes. Now, do they both have H's? No, so I cannot factor or divide an H out. They both have how many K's? 1K. So can I divide a K out of both of them? Yes, I can. So let's divide a K out of both of them. That means, and remember, whatever you divide by on the first one, you have to be able to do on the second one. So 2K. Now reduce and put your answer here. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. You can write your 1 or you don't have to. The K's cancel, so what's left? H squared. There's no 2 left. Now over here, this is a special one. 2 goes into 2 one time. K goes into K one time. Do I have to write something there? Yes. Absolutely, it's a placeholder. So when you distribute back, you have 2 terms. If you didn't put that 1 there, you would only have 1 thing. You wouldn't have 2 things, 2 items. Okay? So you see how it can get scary, right? All right, pop down to this last one, part D. All right, try part D. What could I divide? I want y'all to try it. I'm going to do it up here, but I want y'all to try part D. See what you think you can divide out of each one. Somebody's having so much more fun than y'all. Okay, so 5 looks like the biggest number, greatest common factor. A cubed, I cannot take out more than A cubed. Now remember, it's like adding and subtracting. So that's 6 A's, that's 3 A's. So you'll have 3 A's left. That's 4 A's and 3 A's, so you'll have 1 A left. 3 A's and 3 A's, A cubed and A cubed, they cancel each other out, okay? Now remember, when you distribute back, you should get your original answer. Are we good? Okay, flip the paper. Now it gets easier. That was tough. Now it gets easier. Are you ready? Here we go. All right, so why are we doing this? Because we are trying to solve for something called roots, solutions, and they're also called zeros or x-intercepts. They have a ton of different names. Roots, solutions, zeros, x-intercepts. Roots are actually your factors. Solution, zeros, x-intercept. Those are all x equals a number. Okay? So we did this a few days ago. So this should look fairly like review. Look at example 1. This is intercept form. See, it's on the board over here. Intercept form. We set it equal to 0. We set all of them equal to 0 and solve for x, which is our x-intercept. So on this one, first you have to set equal to 0. Make sure you set it equal to 0. This one is, so we're good. So now we're going to set each one of these equal to 0 and solve for x. All right, so you get a positive 2 and a negative 3. Easy peasy. Those are your x-intercepts on the x-axis if you're trying to graph, okay? All right, now move down right here. 3x, x minus 2. All right, so here we go. Set both of those equal to 0. This is where some of you start to wig out because you don't like this first one. You're like, oh no! Is that undefined? No solution? You start making up answers right here because you don't like the way it looks, because it looks different, right? It's okay to look different. All right, so we're going to divide by 3, divide by 3. 0 divided by 3 is 0. Look, you get a real answer. You can graph that on the x-axis. Okay, you get a real answer. All right, that one, set equal to 0. And you get x equals 2. Now, relate this back to what we did before very quickly. 10 seconds just to remember. Remember, x equals 0, x equals 2. We counted to the middle. We had our line of symmetry. Then we plugged that into the calculator. We used our table of values, found our vertex, plotted it, boom. Okay? So we're going back to that in a little bit. We had a little sneak peek of it last week, and then we will go back to that, so that should be easy to cover.
Miss Hightower?
Yes?
Why is it just 3x? Why isn't it 3x squared?
Because it's in factored form. So these are two separate terms. Like this term is separate from this term. You could distribute it back in, and if you had 3x squared minus 6x, I would have no idea how to solve that out. Because now it's almost in STD form, and there's no way for me to solve for x because I have an x squared there and I have an x there, and it's awkward at that point. It's easier to solve it out when it's in factored form, so I would just leave it in factored form, okay? So our whole goal today is to try to factor it before we do anything. So on the next one, check this out. Oh, Snapple. Again, I don't know how to solve it when there's an x squared and an x in it, but if it's just plain old x's, then I know how to solve for plain old x's, okay? So what we want to do is we want to factor this first. So don't look at the equal 0, just look at the numbers on the left side. It's got to be set equal to 0, we've got that. Now I need to figure out what is the biggest thing that I can factor out front, okay? So look at 6 and 12, what can I take out? A 6, good. Can I take anything else out front? That's an x squared and an x, so I can divide an x out. All right, so you're going to write that out front. And now reduce. I have an x to the first left over. And 12 divided by 6 is 2. Those x's cancel. So now that it's in factored form, it's easy for me to set the first piece equal to 0 and the second piece equal to 0. Okay? Divide by 6 on both sides, you get 0. And then you have x plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 2, and you get x equals a negative 2. All right, so it's got to be set equal to 0. You got to be able to factor it out, okay? All right, flip your paper. All right, so example 3 at the top right. Top right, this is my last one. Before you can factor, it has to be set equal to 0 first. So we're going to do what Beyonce would do. We're going to move everything to the left. Okay? All right, so we need to set this equal to 0. So look right here, eyeballs. Subtract 21y over, okay? Move everything to the left. Now, would 9y squared combine together with 21y? Are they like terms? No, one is squared, one is not. So you do not have to worry about combining them. You just get 9y squared minus 21y equals 0. Now that it's set equal to 0, good job. What is my next step? Factor, greatest common factor. You so smart. What is the biggest number in 9 and 21? 3. I heard that. All right. And one's a y squared and one is a y. What can I divide out? 1y. All right, so I have 9 divided by 3 is 3. Y squared divided by y is a y. 21 divided by 3 is 7, and then the y's cancel out. Now, this is where you guys will mess up. Y'all don't like fractions, so you think you did something wrong. So now you're like, oh, undefined, no solution. That's when you start making up answers. Do not do that. Just solve them out. You can do hard things. So here we go. 3y equals 0. Divide by 3, and you get y equals 0. 3y minus 7 equals 0. Add 7. Divide by 3. Oh no, you get a fraction. Bless your hearts. It's still an answer. It's okay to get a fraction. Did I do something wrong? No, no solution, undefined. No! It's an actual answer. That's a real answer. Okay? All right, get out your homework real quick. We're going to do 2 problems together. That's it. 2 problems, and that's it. Let's do number 1 together. I'm not sure why number 1 doesn't have a number 1 next to it, besides maybe I hole punched it or something. All right, number 1, underneath it, in pencil, just in case I mess up, in my superhero pencil, I'm going to divide by what I believe is my greatest common factor. What is it?
4.
4. So whatever I divide by, I write out front. And then I reduce. 4 divided by 4 leaves me with just an X, a plus sign. Don't forget to carry your plus sign. Some of y'all think that just disappears for some reason, and it doesn't. It kind of separates your terms. All right, what's 12 divided by 4? 3, good job. Now you're going to come, that's like one person answered that. 12 divided by 4 is 3, good job. All right, then you're going to come over here, and you're going to find both of your factors. You can highlight, color in, but the first one is 4, and then the second one is x plus 3, and I'm just going to highlight them in. Now, I am really not super concerned with you highlighting all your answers, but what's the cool thing? It's like you have an answer bank. If you can't find your answer there, then you probably messed up, right? All right, let's do one harder one, a tougher one together. Let's do number 10. Boom, number 10. It really looks like 0, but it's really number 10. All right, there we go. All right, number 10. Look at your numbers, 4 and 8. What is the biggest number that you can take out of 4 and 8?
4.
So divide by 4 on both of them. Now look at your x's. That has 1 x. Can you take out anything more than 1 x? No, that one has 4, that one has 1. You only can divide by 1 x, so put an x there. And then I have 3 y's there, y cubed. And I have 2 y's there. What's the most I can take out?
2.
Just 2. You can't take out more than what's there. So this is what I write out front, what I divided by. 4xy squared. There's a minus sign in the middle, don't forget it. And now we get to reduce. The 4's go away. The x's go away. And what do I have left in this first one? Y cubed and y squared gives me y. Now go to your second one. 8 divided by 4 gives me 2. X4 and x to the first. How many x's do I have left?
4.
How many? That's 4 x's and 1 x, y'all.
3.
Yes, x cubed. Reduce one of them out. And then the y squares go away. So now I have to find both of these, the 4x, y squared, and the y minus 2x cubed. If you don't want to spend all of your time looking, Thank you, Siri. Okay. All right, so if you don't want to spend all your time looking, you don't have to, but if you want to know you did it right, you can go search for your answers. The riddle is not the important thing, it's the factoring that's important. Got it? All right, have a great afternoon. Let's finish up. Let's finish strong. Bye, sugars at home. See you later.